how to lose fat or how to lose weight. Today we're going to kind of talk about and discuss the truth about how to lose weight. You hear so many different ideas and concepts get thrown around on social media and by different people on social media that it's kind of hard to follow, and I want to break it down and kind of give you guys an outline and something that you can take a lot away from. So today I want to talk about 5 different types of diets that are seen come up a lot on social media and stuff. So today, the 5 we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting, we're going to talk about the ketogenic diet, we're going to talk about the Paleolithic diet, we're going to talk about the Mediterranean diet, and we're going to talk about the Atkins diet. Very basically, nothing crazy, just to clear up some of the fallacies or myths around these different kinds of diets and how to actually lose weight. To start with, intermittent fasting. I do it every single day. I love it. Next video coming out next week is going to be about tips on how to intermittent fast. I can't remember a day that I went without intermittent fasting. It has just become such a part of my lifestyle and I love it. There is 3, I would say, main ways to intermittent fast. There's the way that I commonly do it, where you fast for about 16 hours of the day, and then the other 8 hours is your eating window. I generally keep that eating window to 8 to 6 hours, and then go from 16 to 18 hours of fasting time. But there's also some different things. Some people will fast for 24 hours for one day, but just over like one time per week. So that one's a little bit different than fasting every single day. And then other people have done it where they'll fast for 24 hours, but the way that they'll fast is it's over 2 days. So if you eat in the morning of one day, then by the time you're digested, then you're in a fasted state and you won't eat till dinner on the next day, if that kind of makes sense there. If at all you guys feel like you want a little bit more material on a topic, feel free to direct message me in Instagram. Everything's in the link below. Intermittent fasting, right? The actual diet or lifestyle itself, lots and lots of variety there. You can add in different kinds of food if you want. You can take out different kinds of food as you want, as long as you keep your eating window restricted to that time. That being said, there's not much in the actual diet or lifestyle that revolves around the food. It's just when to eat that food. The ketogenic diet. So this one's pretty much revolving around the concept of almost removing carbohydrates from your diet and eating mostly fats and lean proteins. So you'd be looking at about 5% of your daily diet being carbohydrates, about 25% of your daily diet being proteins, and about 70% of your daily intake of calories to be fats. So lots and lots of fats. Next, the Paleolithic diet. This is a great diet. I did this for a few years back when I was actually graduating high school. It's a little bit difficult to maintain it though, so I ended up having cheat days on Saturdays and Sundays where I would eat whatever I wanted, and that was a little bit counterintuitive. So what ended up happening was it was almost like I was taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. So like, although I was making progress, it wasn't necessarily the most efficient. If you can do it efficiently, then that's awesome. Paleolithic diet is kind of revolving around eating lean meats and fishes and poultry. You can have eggs, lots of nuts and seeds, no refined anything pretty much, no refined foods, processed foods, refined sugars, processed oils. You're looking at pretty basic ingredients here. Next, a really cool diet that I've seen come up here and come up there. I've enjoyed doing it when I've done it. I've done it now twice, but it's the vegan diet. So essentially you just don't eat any animal products. I did a month in January of eating vegan, and then I did 2 weeks when I got back home here from university for the summer. So wicked diet if you can do it correctly. But there's lots of little tips and tricks that you can pick up along the way to kind of help you eat in a vegan diet. The Atkins diet, a diet specifically made for weight loss, but it revolves around the concept of having really, really low carbs and making sure that your insulin levels are stable and aren't spiked constantly. So when your insulin levels are spiked, essentially you go into a fat storage mode. Last but not least, the Mediterranean diet. So the Mediterranean diet is pretty much the diet that if you are ever around someone who's like, oh hey, I'm going on this diet, I'm eating very clean, I'm trying to lose weight, just cutting out processed foods, and I just want to focus on lean meats and lots of fish and lots of, you know, clean oils like olive oil or avocado oil, stuff like that. This is that diet, pretty much. You can still eat meats, you can still eat vegetables, you can still eat carbs, but you're focusing on whole grains rather than refined grains. You're focusing on like whole oil. So if you had an avocado versus refined vegetable oil or whatever. The point is that you cut out quite a lot of the processed foods and keep in lots of the lean, dark, nutrient-rich foods. So in turn, you've got a lot of variety. You got 5 choices here, and there's hundreds of other diets that are out there. I mean, it's almost endless. If you have an allergy and you just take one different food group out of each one of these diets, you would have an endless amount of diets that you could take or have. So the real question is that if some of these diets say, well, if I eat carbs, I will gain fat, or if some of them say, well, if I eat fat, I will gain fat, then which one's the actual truth? So when it comes down to it, the bottom line is that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. The point of all of these diets is to get you thinking, is to get you to notice what you're eating. A common trend amongst all of them, aside from intermittent fasting, just because that wasn't even outlined in it. I mean, you shouldn't eat them in general, but there's a reduction of processed foods. There's a reduction of refined sugar. There's a reduction of these processed, saturated, and unsaturated fats. It's all this processed food that we eat. So in turn, although there's lots and lots of variety amongst the different diets that you can take to lose weight, the truth is that you have to watch what you eat. You could eat almost anything as long as you're watching what you eat. Technically, I mean, we're all watching it as we put it into our mouths, but if you're counting out the calories or you're guesstimating the calories and you're noticing what you're eating, that's how you're going to lose weight. Because when you're on the vegan diet, for example, and you have to substitute meat for different kinds of nut butters and different kinds of beans and different kinds of grains and different kinds of plants, essentially, all you're doing is you're just realizing that there's different foods that have these different compounds in them. And it's once you understand that and have a better grip on that, that you can truly lose weight. So once you figured out little things about these diets and you're starting to realize your diet in a whole, in a nutshell, then you can figure out and you can pinpoint what works best for you. But as it is, the best thing to do to lose weight is to just understand the foods that you're putting into your body. Well, I hope that this kind of cleared things up, and I hope that this helps out when you're looking to lose weight, because it doesn't necessarily matter if you increase your fat intake or if you decrease your fat intake or if you increase your fish intake or if you decrease your fish intake or whatever the case may be, if you eat meats or you don't eat meats. The best way to lose weight is to understand the foods you're putting into your body. That alongside calorie intake. So of course, if someone just eats a stick of butter a day, you will gain weight. But if you're using butter instead of these processed fats, then that is one step in the right direction. So if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about today, or just one of the diets in general, or anything in general, shoot me a message over Instagram. Everything's down in the link below. I'd be happy to get back and chat or whatever. But stay tuned, upcoming is gonna be the intermittent fasting tips and tricks video.